Some players are remembered for their goals, others for their controversies. And then there's Mario Balotelli. He was a generational talent who managed to set his own bathroom on fire, a Premier League winner who also threw darts at youth players. So today, let's get into the wild, unforgettable, and honestly, unbelievable story of Mario Balotelli.
So, where do you even start with a guy like this? Well, you've got to start with the question he famously asked the world. After scoring in a massive derby, he revealed this t-shirt. And that simple phrase, it became this global catchphrase that just perfectly captured the circus that always seemed to follow him. His time in England kicked off with a literal bang. I mean, just days after this huge, big money move to Manchester City, he smashes up his sports car on the way to training. It was, let's be honest, a massive sign of things to come. This was not going to be a quiet transfer. Okay, so when the police show up at this crumpled wreck, they're not just dealing with a standard car crash. No. They find this much cash, £5,000, just sitting on the passenger seat. The detail was so bizarre, it immediately hit the headlines, and everyone was just left wondering, why is this guy driving around with small fortune in his car? And when the police asked him why he had so much cash on him, this was his legendary reply. It was just a response that instantly defined his whole public persona, right? Flashy, completely unapologetic, and totally unpredictable. This one moment really set the tone for his entire career in England. And that unpredictability, well, it wasn't a one-off. Not at all. It became this constant pattern of chaos that played out both on the pitch and off it, creating a media frenzy that the Premier League had really never seen before. The bizarre off-field stuff just kept getting crazier. While he was supposed to be at home recovering from an injury, he decides to drive his Mercedes right into the grounds of a women's prison. And his reason? He was just curious. I mean, you can't make this up. The story went global, leaving his club completely baffled and the press having an absolute field day. This single game right here perfectly captures the whole Balotelli paradox. He scores two absolutely brilliant goals, showing off that immense talent he had. But then he gets a straight red card for a totally needless, violent kick. He was both a match winner and a complete liability, often in the very same 90 minutes. And the chaos wasn't just for matches or his private life. Oh no. Back at the training ground, reports started coming out that he'd thrown darts in the direction of a youth team player. Luckily, no one was hurt, but it was yet another example of what his own club was starting to see as just impulsive and really childish behavior. So all of this drama, all this unpredictability, it was all building up to something. It all came to a head in the single most defining moment of his career, a 48-hour period that just perfectly encapsulated the legend of Mario Balotelli. I mean, this sequence is just pure Balotelli. It starts the night before the biggest game of the season. He and his friends are setting off fireworks in his bathroom and, whoops, cause a fire. Less than 36 hours later, he's on the pitch, scoring in the Manchester Derby. And then, the punchline. He lifts his shirt to reveal that immortal question. It wasn't just football, it was performance art. But, the quirky antics soon started to give way to something more serious, more volatile. The narrative began to shift from this eccentric genius to a genuinely disruptive force, and the controversy around him just escalated. His behavior started to cause some real friction within his own team. Pictures of this training ground fight with his teammate Micah were splashed all over the tabloids, fueling reports of serious disharmony inside that Manchester City dressing room. And then came one of the ugliest acts of his career. In a huge match, after his opponent Scott Parker had fallen to the ground, Balotelli deliberately, and I mean deliberately, stamps on his head. It was a moment of just clear violent conduct that shocked the football world and completely dominated the news for days. And the consequence was swift and it was severe. A 4-match ban. For his club, which was chasing the league title, it was a massive blow. For Balotelli, it was confirmation that he'd crossed a line, moving from this quirky, controversial figure to a genuinely dangerous liability on the pitch. But here's the thing. If you only focus on the chaos, you're kind of missing the point. His legacy is also one of defiance. He pushed back against authority, against the media, and most powerfully against the disgusting racism he faced throughout his career. Right before the Euro 2012 tournament, he made international news with this powerful, shocking statement against racism. It was a raw, visceral declaration, and it showed this fiercely principled side to his character that often got lost amid the whole off-field circus. He also clashed directly and very publicly with the media. In this now viral post-match TV interview in Italy, he just snapped at pundits who were criticizing him after a loss. His outburst, well, it divided opinion, but it really showed a man who felt constantly misunderstood and unfairly judged. So when you look back and lay it all out on a timeline, the pattern is just relentless, isn't it? From the car crash to the why always me moment, from that violent stamp to those powerful interviews. It was just a constant cycle of bizarre, brilliant, aggressive, and defiant moments.
So in the end, the story of Mario Balotelli really leaves us with this one lingering question. Was he a unique talent who was just suffocated by the media spotlight and his own demons? Or was he the architect of his own downfall? The answer, much like the man himself, is anything but simple.